So investigations by the Fourth Estate uncovers syndicates selling slots in the computerized school selection and placement system to desperate parents. This morning, we'll be bringing you that whole documentary where parents get to pay as much as 8,500 Ghana cedis, 20,000 Ghana cedis. But first, let's speak to editor-in-chief of the Fourth Estate that produced this. Now, it was produced by Azure-Awuni and Evans Azemo Mensah. But Manasseh Azure-Awuni is the editor-in-chief of the Fourth Estate, and he joins us now on phone. Manasseh, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning, Winston, Mamavi, and then the other one whose name I don't want to mention.
You don't want to mention Raymond's name. Okay, he's laughing here. But so we've been, getting bits and pieces of the documentary, but help us understand why you decided to do this.
Well, Winston, like many of our problems in this country, school placement fraud, corruption, and all the other issues, it's not new. What is perhaps shocking is why every year people complain and then nobody does anything about it. And normally when you move on to complain, they say, well, you don't have evidence. People just talk. If you have evidence, bring it. And so we decided last year, actually we started in 2021, and then we didn't succeed because we went in a bit late, and then investigations sometimes take time, and on other occasions you may not be successful because people who benefited were not prepared to cooperate.
Okay.
So last year we decided to use undercover and get students and get names and go to the center to find out for ourselves what was happening. So that's how this story came about.
Now, talking about what is happening, before we even get to, listen to the documentary right now and get to watch it on both our YouTube and Facebook, channels, tell us what we're about to hear or see in the documentary.
Winston, what you're about to see or hear is like the coconut seller in front of Joy FM, who takes money from people to be able to put them on the Joy FM payroll. And then Joy FM for many years knows that there are people who want to get onto this payroll fraudulently. So they have limited access to who can even go to the back end and open this payroll. They have limited that access to only 2 individuals. So the Ghana Education Service has the Director General, and then we also have the Minister of Education. These are the only individuals out of the 30 million Ghanaians who have access to the protocol placement with regards to the Category A schools, which are often the most sought after and for which reason people pay money. So we were able to get people who took money, just ordinary cleaners, and then were able to get such placement, and the placement could have not happened if either the Education Minister or the Director General of the GES did not give approval. They were the only people who had access. So the question is, who was the one taking these monies and sending their names to these 2 officials? And the very interesting part is that there was an attempt to investigate this, and that was triggered by one of the 2 people who had access to the back end, that's the Director General. The BNI started chickened out, CID started chickened out, and when we were even doing our investigation and wanted the police to come in and effect the arrest, we went to the police headquarters, were given a team by the CID. All of a sudden, they withdrew that team and said we should go and report to Ministry's police station. So there appears to be some, and our investigation, our sources say that forces from above stopped the security agencies from investigating these fraudulent activities, which Professor Opoku Amankwa, then Director General of the GES, petitioned them to do. Okay. So the problem is not just about unscrupulous people taking advantage of the system. It is also about how they're able to weed their way to the very top, and how state security agencies, I would say, refused to investigate something like this.
So what happens next?
I think what happens next should be something that the Minister of Education should be held accountable to the people. If he himself is not involved, there must be somebody connected to him who is involved. There is definitely somebody who took money from that cleaner who may never have met the minister. So it behoves on us to, or on the minister, to tell us who brought those names to him.
Okay.
And that person should be able to tell us how he came by those names. If that is done and people are punished, I believe some of these activities may go down. But if they go on to punish only these those who are fronting and leave all those within the chain that match up to the ministry, then we won't be getting anywhere. So I am thinking that in the coming days, the minister should be able to tell us that we have done our investigations and realized that ABC, who works in this ministry or who is in the Ghana Education Service, was able to get certain names that were not supposed to have gone through the system so that people should be held accountable.
Great. So, but for these persons, do you know the status of investigations? Those who were arrested?
The police have even gone ahead to charge them and have put them before court. And the interesting thing is that the charge, to paraphrase, has something to do with private persons who are conniving with public officials to corrupt a system. That is how the charge is about. So the question I'm asking is, if you put these people before court and their lawyer tells you that, well, where are the public people they worked with? I don't know how they are going to go about it. I'm not a lawyer, but I sincerely believe that it appears somebody high up there is trying to frustrate every effort to get to the bottom of this matter.
Manasseh, thank you very much. Right, so the phone lines have been activated now on 0302216541 and then 05511119997. Would love to hear from you and your experiences. Already, lots of you have been sharing your experiences with us via text and via Twitter. Maybe we'll be doing some of these messages, and then we'll get onto the phone lines and begin to pick your experiences with the computerized selection and school placement system. What's Twitter saying, Mama V?
Wednesday at Suleiman Ibrahim says, not only schools have this disease, but all government institutions. You pay as you go. From military, police, fire service, immigration, SEPs, name them. There's protocol over there before real recruitment takes place. Ghana needs a real revolution now. _Fit says the whole country is a crime scene. #joy SMS. At Stanley Apia says, I just don't understand some parents. Why pay for placement? You don't need to be a rocket scientist to know it's a scam. At AK_firm says, this has been happening since it started. Steven_app says, so some parents can pay up to 11,000 Ghana cedis just for protocols, and the government has to pay their fees for them. If you can pay 11,000, then you can pay school fees as well.
All right, so let's get onto the phone lines now. And Kwesi is in Kaswa. Kwesi, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. Share your experience with us.
How you can?
We're doing very well. I believe you're fine too.
Yeah, we can go. In Ghana, what I thought is our challenge. If we want something which will help us, then it becomes a different thing altogether. So those of us who don't have that amount, how do we place our students in the best schools in Ghana? Listen, please, if you go to a good school, those ones we even say this category A, the children there are not better than those we find in the B's and the C's and the D's that we say.
Okay.
When you do your service in C, those in the B, the C's and the D's are far better than those ones. Just like it's happening, same way they buy grades for them. It's the same way they buy grades for them. Then they say they have got grade 9 and grade this and that, and then they take them to this category 8 schools. And they are not doing anything there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kwesi, for joining us. Let's go to Koforidua where Thomas is. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning.
Great. So share your comments or experience with us, Thomas.
Yeah, I just want to thank Manasseh and his team for the wonderful work done. And I pray that the authorities will ask, Wilson, why this protocol list for schools? They should dissolve, they should cancel it. And number 2, this placement secretariat, it should be dissolved. Because that is where the corruption is coming from. They should rather put it under the Ghana Education Service in various districts. If you have problem with your placement for your work, they should go to the Ghana Education Service district secretariat, not placement secretariat. That is bringing the fraud, so that they should dissolve it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Thomas. Let's go to Accra. Harry, good morning.
Yes, good morning.
Yes.
So I have a personal experience.
Please go ahead and share with us.
With two kids. It's as if the system will place a good kid in category B school and then forces the parent to pay. So there was this young lady who hadn't had it like very good force. Her life, the mother was frustrated. She chose West Girl. She was placed somewhere else. The mother went up and down. It was because the headmistress of the school realized that the girl had the potential, and then she took her in. The girl finished what she had 8 A's. Second one was my own mechanic's son. The boy chose one of the category A schools. This boy got almost 500 out of the 600.
Okay.
He was placed into a village school. I tried for this boy, no link. Then finally somebody said, you want the one that they will place you in. That, listen, like Jesus Christ, within 3 days, the boy had been placed in.
Did you have to pay money?
6,000 cedis.
6,000 cedis?
Yes, that was about 4 years ago. And you were telling me they will save the parents 5,000 cedis in school fees over the 3 years. They took everything at once. And this is not somebody, and we did that because it was telling the young man that hard work does not pay. The boy had gotten the scores, and then they were not minding him.
All right. Harry, thank you very much. Let's go to Bodriasi where Eunice is. Eunice, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, Eunice. Share your experience with us.
Yes, I think it's a sad reality, and I also think that people should be empowered to be able to say, no, I'm not paying that, even if it means my child or my ward will stay home. And again, who is in charge to make sure that such things are reported to, and that action will be taken whoever is doing that? That is also a problem. I'm looking at solutions. Look, of late, I've been trying to get into most public offices, and then you go online and realize that all the telephone lines that are available to call, they don't work. They are not working. So who do you reach? If you want to just do a simple inquiry, you need to get somebody in there and pay something for it. And yet people sit in the offices and are paid for as front desk personnel every month. So who checks? And who checks to see that all those lines are working? You see, so So I'm really looking at solutions. Are we going to name, shame, or what? And who is responsible for that? Because what is going on in that office, we are told that everybody is aware of Eric. And so top officials are in it. So how is the system going to be sanitized? Somewhere else it is. So how are we going to do it? I think that is the question that we need to be all talking about. What is the solution? There should be a way out. It cannot be like this. Something has to be done. So right. I think we need to look for solutions now to such problems.
Sure. We definitely will talk about that. Thank you very much, Eunice. Let's go to Tema. Mami, good morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you, sir?
We're fine. I believe you're fine too.
I am, okay.
Great.
My little contribution regarding what's going on right now is, why don't we try? I know we will not be able to make every school a Category A school, but I think that if we try as much as possible and raise the B and the C and the others to a very good level, then these things can be kept a little bit. Then I'll be okay if my child is sent to a Category B school because they are equally good. So that's my little contribution. If we can also look at that, not only the bribe aspect, but we can look at the fact that our educational system is, I don't want to say anything, but we should try as much as possible to raise the other schools that are low so that these things can come down. That's my contribution for this
Great.
one.
Thank you very much, Mame, for joining us. You can also join us on 0302-216-541 or 055-111-997. This morning we've asked that you share your experience with us, whether you've had to pay money, and also how do you believe we can actually solve this problem. We're joined by Kenneth Ashigbe. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, Ken. Let's hear you.
Thank you very much. I think this whole corruption is abominable and it definitely needs to be called out. But I think it is very important that we place on record that when it comes to the alumni, in terms of protocols, it is a critical way of ensuring the development of our schools. Now, a lot of the schools that we have, and I can speak of St. Augustine's College, the level of investment that we make into these schools as alumni, in a lot of the places, the government is not able to match it. As we speak, the 1998 year group are building a four unit 2-bedroom for the teachers. How are you going to be able to ensure that on a constant basis, every year, this level of investment is done? If you don't offer, these people who invest into the school some priority, and what we have done in St. Augustine, and the 5% is, I don't know what the ministries do with their 5%. There is a system, a very objective, transparent system, in which we ensure that the students meet the minimum standard. And because there are a lot of alumni, it is even very competitive to be able to get it. So what we require is that we need to ensure that these protocol placements, it's very transparent, it's very accountable. We should be able to report on who got access through the protocol process. And I think that it's about time that 5% that is still given to the ministries are taken away from them and given to people who are contributing into the schools. There are churches that have built, there are missions that have built these schools. There are teachers whose children are teaching in the schools who don't get access to it. And so I think the thing about it is that how transparent are those protocol places done, and who are the people who are eligible to it, and the criteria should be clearly spelled out. So that if even there are people who are very talented, sports people and all of that, who might not be able to go through the exam field. And our exams itself, there are challenges with that. So I think that it's important we get to the bottom of it.
All right, I think we've lost Ken. Let's get to Tema again. Joseph is there. Joseph, good morning.
Good morning, Uncle. I hope you're doing wonderful.
I am fine. I hope you're fine too.
I'm also enjoying the grace.
Great.
I think we need to commend Joy FM for a good job doing from DVLA to this canker. You are doing a great job. Just that sometimes in the politics, NPP, NDC, sometimes the way we discuss it, then it's something else. But let's talk about this. I think we should go back to the old system. Because in the old system, the so-called high schools, you get them based on your results. So if now somebody is having grades which are very good and yet to pay, then I mean, what's the essence of this computer system issue? People will be at home, they will employ them to work for salary. But when they get a job, they want to go extra mile. Who are checking them? Who watches the watchman? Is the question. And we shouldn't be deceiving ourselves with this kind of schools that they are grade A, grade B, because a certain minister completed that school, an old school boy from this minister or this, that. Now, those schools are all doing well. So I think the parents shouldn't disturb themselves with grade A and B. They just have names. So if there's nobody checking those kind of people doing this corruption thing, then we should go back to the old system. And those people with the computer, they should sack them. That's my issue.
Thank you very much, Joseph. Let's go to Stephen in Accra, will be our final caller. Stephen, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fine. Hope you're fine too.
Yes, yes. I
Sure.
think this placement of this computer system of our wars into the SHS is becoming too much of monocracy. The whole system, sometimes, listen, you'll be amazed to know that a student maybe in Accra and is using a school in Tema, and they pray that student to be a day student. Before you get it to be changed, this money does not exchange hands. That is the end of the story. And you look at it as whether people who praise this student really have the concern or the welfare of the child. How can the child be traveling all the way from Tema to Accra? One of the schools is St. Mary. A child has been given admission to Tema, from Tema to St. Mary in Zansoma. And that child has to be coming from Tema all the time to Zansoma, St. Mary. My ward I'm in Accra, my ward has been given Tema school. Day students, how can you manage such a situation? The risk of the child going to school on vehicle every day is another challenge. And nobody is prepared to listen to you. But when you are able to get people who will take the money, the child will be that situation will be changed. Are we practicing democracy or we are practicing democracy? And nobody should tell me that the people in the helm of affairs, from the top, the minister, they are not aware of these issues. They are aware. So we are not practicing democracy to build this country, but we are practicing monocracy for us to be able to reach in power for 8 years. And that is what we are seeing in the system. As the lecturers in the university, whether the products that are coming these days in the university are anything to go by, any good substance to go by.
Okay.
Nothing.
Thank you very much, Stephen, for joining us. And Stephen will be our final caller. So, guys, Raymond Mamavi, that's the situation. People paying money. But the critical question is, now, we know, for instance, last year, the Director General of the Ghana Education Services Office and the Minister of Education's office. Why would it be difficult for us to know persons who are collecting money and doing this?
Yes, I'll start from that point, and it should not be difficult at all. In very decent societies, those who are at the helm of office, even at the top, will leave if they really feel that on my watch, this is what's happened. But at least what can happen under the circumstance is that we know currently they are still doing admissions, right? They are still working on placements and all of that because they've released results. And we know these things will continue to happen unless the people who are in that office are cleared up. Everybody is removed and a fresh team of more likely decent people who do what is right is put in there. So if CID's invitation did not work, if the NIB's invitation did not work, it only suggests that the people perhaps behind this are bigger people than ordinary cleaners or people who sell in whichever small corner. It is not difficult for, if the ministry is not able to do so, the president himself will tell the people that, listen, this route, we cannot allow it to go. Because the signals it sends is that you don't have to do any serious work. You just have to say, when your colleagues are studying, sleep. When you do whatever, get whatever grade, we will pay for you to go to school. When poor people are struggling to find light to actually study in whichever corner, just because you have resource, you can get it to whichever corner that you want. So that office ought to be cleared. And the investigation cannot end at, oh, well, we are trying to do something new. See, if you are there today, you should also know that this might not be the only investigation going on today. So tomorrow, the other parents that you are engaging and seeking to take money from could be the next person who's recording, so that you'll be the next person who will be. Because there are some people, I do not think Eric is the one who's placing people. It's obvious. Eric has neither the access nor the competence to do that kind of job. It means that as we speak, there are people who are really expected to be not only behind bars, but also being investigated, who are actually not being investigated. But I'm saying that if you think this is just a one-off thing, what you do not know is that today somebody might be recording you, the person who takes the money to make the changes, to actually change people's destiny forever. Because there are certain schools in this country that you go to, you may not be able to go to university. Let's not pretend we don't know that for a fact. Now, there's another point that's being made, and we are talking about solutions. Why? I do not think that any proper system has any inbuilt protocol structure. Let's not give different names of corruption and allow it to fester. If a student, by whichever means, is supposed to go to a school and there's a mistake, it is corrected. And it's an administration error, it is corrected. Let's not create several corners where people use it for their own good. I'm referencing this alumni structure. All that basically they are saying is that if Brian Echampon, being very resourceful, is able to build what they call a teacher's bungalow in Presec, it means that those who cannot build teacher's bungalow, they may not be able to have the same access to that protocol list like he is supposed to have. That's not only discriminating, it's also unfair. So the sensible thing to do in a country that has always had difficulties is to clear all of those things. If a child is not able to go to a school because there's a problem, you go and officially petition and it's corrected.
But
let's not create
despotic
range.
How do you reward Brian then? Because we know about the inequity in resources.
We are all in this country. Alumni give back because the school gave them something. When did it become the alumni give because they expect something from the school that will go back? Alumni give because you went through the school. Without the school, you would not be where you are. And that's what we say all the time. When did the other way become the issue that, oh, my contribution to the school is merely because I want to now get my child into the same school? I think it doesn't make sense. You see, we cannot create a society for two set of people in this country. So certain people will never be able to go to certain schools because they are not alumni of the school. It doesn't make sense.
Look, you're very right, because let's be very honest here. I do not think that if I go back to Mali school,
yes, and you go and build
I say I want placement for someone who didn't even do well, based on that alumni system alone, I'd be given.
Yeah.
No, but if you listen to Ken's explanation with what happens in Augustins, it's not what you've explained.
Hold on a second. Ramon is making a very important point, and let's try it. The point is, today we said we were bringing the computerized school selection and placement system.
To remove the human element.
remove the human element.
But you have created another layer of human element and added to it.
We kept the human element under the name of protocol. We say protocol. So protocol, 10%, is still that human element that we wanted to keep. In fact, the reality is that in those days when they go for the selection, in that room, people genuinely got placements.
Yeah.
And there was a human element too. We are still maintaining the human element and pretending. So today, if you go, they tell you, oh, protocol list, for the Sikabani and Found protocol list. How sure are we even that it's 10% protocol and it's not 30% or 40%? Because once you create a protocol where you do not check to know the percentage allocated, anything can happen. So,
one more point. The U.S. admission crisis, just before you make the point, Maravi, the U.S. admission crisis, alumni of schools, including those who are just going to pay sporting facilities and pay a huge amount of money to support the schools, and the amount they made could build schools. This is millions of dollars. Even those who are arrested. They are arrested because it is unconscionable that people have privileged access merely because they can pay. That's how level we want to build a society. Not because we want to create a certain special loop for those who have and those who do not have. You have to use a different route to get the same end. And if we extend this to healthcare, if we extend it to every other thing, you see how serious it will be? Merely because I want to help Kwalibu build something. When I go there today, I should be given privileged service and access.
So, I've followed the placement system for quite a long time. They opened this call center where you could call if you have challenges, and I followed it from the very beginning. There are people who have genuine cases each year when the placement is done. Remember, there was this year that we had a record number of people converge at the Black Star Square. I'm not sure if you guys remember that.
I remember.
Yeah. So there are issues. Somebody will be placed and the placement will be changed. Somebody will do well, and where they've placed them, somebody will say, "Oh, but I live here," and then they placed me. Stephen from Accra called and talked about that. So there are genuine concerns that come up each year. And so that human face, and that's why there's the call center to address the issues. I think that the mere arrest and prosecution of Eric, Rachel, and all those who are arrested in this investigation will not cure the defects, because fundamentally we know that there are people within the system who are carrying out these illegalities. And if the minister's office is not investigated thoroughly to get rid of all these people, then we will be here, I guess, each year talking about this, each year going through middlemen, and the problem will still persist.
Okay, guys, this is just the beginning of the conversation.
Okay.
We're not done yet. We'll come back to it.